Frank Palangi. We're live at WEXT.
518 sessions with local 518 singer-songwriter guitarist from Queensbury. Some describe his music as the next evolution of 80s and 90s rock and metal combined with post-grunge. He's had the good fortune to work with industry producers and band members from Daughtry, Saving Abel, Pillar, Kelly Clarkson, Day of Fire, and others. He's opened for acts such as Three Doors Down, Fuel, Trapped, Buckcherry, and many more. Frank Palangi is here with us. Frank, great to see you again.
What's going on, man? It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit, and he brought along your bassist, Bo Hyde.
How's it going?
Tell me about that song. Man, I love that one. You've played that one here before, Driving These Lines. Tell me about that song again.
Off the first EP, I remember it was either that or some other song when I was in Tennessee recording it. And they're like, I think you gotta go with Driving. It's a little more upbeat, it's a little different. I thought it was really quirky, sort of, at first. I was like, I don't know. It felt like sort of comedic for some reason. I have no idea why. But maybe just the da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, kind of the melody of it. And I go, well, he goes, don't worry, we'll rock it. We'll rockify it. So it was us and Day of Fire back then in the studio. Yeah, it's just one of those songs in the industry where there's all those highs and lows you go through. And I wrote it based off of the singer's experience, because I haven't experienced anything like that. And he was telling me about how he was signed, he was on MTV, and that fell through. Another band had 3 records, Grammy nominated, and then got dropped. So I was very inspired by that, and that's how the song came out.
So it's the metal from the 80s and 90s rock that inspired you to go down this road of music.
Pretty much. Yeah, there's a lot of Def Leppard, a lot of Creed, and Godsmack, Three Doors Down, there was Rat.
Was this music discovery from the radio or from your parents' music collection? What was it?
My dad.
Really?
Yep. He had the Def Leppard CDs. He had, he picked me up, because Day of Fire was Christian rock. So I was like, I don't know. I go, I heard, they're not as heavy as those 80 rockers. And he goes, just listen to this. He goes, Christian rock stuff is heavy.
Yeah, man.
So
I listened to Stryper back in the day. Remember Stryper?
Yep.
But you grew up with some health issues, too, that prevented you from playing sports, so you turned to music as a creative outlet.
Yeah, it was a lot of staying after school, sitting there, doing makeup days for being sick. I used to miss like 30, 40 days of school. They always wanted to fail me every single year. And I'd be sitting there like detention, not doing anything wrong, and had to make it up because I was sick all the time. So,
what were these major health issues?
It was a lot of, I had problems when I was born, and then mostly just severe asthma, allergies, and that kind of stuff. I'd catch all the flus and everything.
So they'd penalize you in school?
Yeah, I mean,
having health issues.
Low immune system count. I have one, it's called the EIJ count. That was low, so I think that's why I caught a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You had interest in playing sports, and you couldn't.
I actually had interest in swimming. I tell this story, so I can't dive. Okay. I jumped in, and I was the 7th fastest kid in the whole school district, and I jumped in. I could not dive to save my life, but I wanted to be on that team. But the chlorine and everything every night, it would attack my lungs. Couldn't do it.
You ever think of what could have been?
I could have been that guy in the commercials. You
could have been the next Michael Phelps.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Without the Speedo. No, thanks.
So you've been doing music full time now, over a decade. You have an admirable stubbornness to your tenacity. What inspires you to stay the course, keep following this path?
I don't know. It's just something that was in me, and it's never going away. I think it's the passion to create more than anything else. It's like this fire of, you got to keep doing it, you got to keep doing it. And I still have a point where I haven't reached to where I want to go yet.
Yeah, people hear that phrase, overnight sensation. There really is no such thing as overnight sensation.
No way.
But you've had the good fortune to work with some pretty big heavy hitters in the world of music. And it boggles my mind, at least, because I know how good you are.
Thanks.
It boggles my mind how you haven't broke through that ceiling.
A lot of people say that.
Playing with all these people, networking with all these bands. How come you're not on a national stage?
It's the stuff that happens behind the scenes that people don't know about. Like a lot of it, probably people now know about buy-ons and stuff like that, right? A lot of the big shows and national shows, you gotta have money. You gotta spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to open up for somebody.
The openers.
And then even if you were to get signed by a record label, you don't own a lot of stuff. These major labels, so I've had a few deals. I've had one major label contact me that didn't work out, but I've had a couple other ones. And it's just, they kill you. I want to be able to own my song. I want to say it's my song. I'm reasonable to a certain point, but, then like rock radio, stuff like that really doesn't exist anymore. And, you have to pay your way nowadays. They want you at that level. And it's like, we can't get to that level without this stuff. We can get to a certain point, but do you have thousands of dollars? It's like, no way.
So these guys that you've worked with in the past, name some of these big heavy hitters that you've worked with, some of these big band members and artists.
Recently, the Daughtry members. I remember the drummer from Saving Abel, and we worked with Pillar, which is Kelly Clarkson's drummer now, and his guitarist plays with Brantley Gilbert or something, or one of those guys, one of the country guys, and Day of Fire, which is the Full Devil Jacket band. And
so these guys, you've had conversations with these guys. Do they give you any words of advice? Do they give you any cautionary tales?
A little bit, yeah. Some good stuff.
And yet here you still are plugging away. I mean, you still maintain a positive attitude.
Yeah, because I still believe that's out there, even though everyone says there's all those hurdles, and if you get rejected and stuff like that, and they're like, we'll work with you, but we need $30,000 to do this, and there's still a possibility, I believe, out there.
Yeah,
somebody out there has got to be like, let's do it.
Yeah. You're still plugging away local. Where can people find you? Do you play out quite often?
Yeah, actually, I've been doing a lot of Vermont, and I'll travel to Massachusetts a little bit, and then all parts of New York. I'm kind of scattered. Usually Glens Falls, Albany, but then I go down to like Middleburg, been past to Syracuse, anywhere. Ticonderoga, like way up there, wherever.
Frank Palangi is our guest. He's here with his bassist, Bo Hyde. And Frank, your third and latest EP is called Set Me Free. That's out right now. You're working on another one. It's called Bring On the Fear. And you've got some major talent playing on some of these songs, members of Daughtry and Kelly Clarkson's band. Tell us about this.
I've been working on it for like a year and a half now. I've been so busy getting into lessons and other sessions and stuff. And so I've been self-producing it and mixing it. So my mixing skills from 3 years ago to now are just like, I had to figure it out. I had to do it. And I've always been into it since I was like a teenager doing it. But this EP is a little heavier than the last one. I think it's even heavier than like Set Me Free.
How do you connect with these guys? I know you've worked with the members of Daughtry and Kelly Clarkson's band before, but how do you make that connection and say, hey, can you contribute to my EP?
A lot of it, either I meet in person and I just ask them.
And how do you work it? Do you swap files back and forth? You're never in the same room together recording.
Once we were.
Yeah.
If I can afford it, it's great, because you learn a lot being there too, just the studio and everything, how they work stuff. And from the engineering standpoint of, what are their techniques? You learn so much. But yeah, Lester, the drums, we do files back and forth. I literally do a demo. I send him the idea and he comes back and it's just there. It's automatically there. And the guy's he's sick. He's like a machine or something.
Yeah. He's killer with his drums.
Yeah. Brian's the same way from Daughtry. He does all the nice melodies and that kind of stuff, And
Frank Palangi, he has a brand new EP, Bring On the Fear, coming out in 2020. You got to pick it up. You got to check out this guy. You got to tell your friends, your family members. You got to pick up the phone. You got to make that long distance call to somebody and tell them, Frank Palangi, this guy right here, this guy can sing. This guy can play guitar. And Bo Hyde right here on the bass. FrankPalangi.com is the website. He's all over social media. He's everywhere you can find music in the world today. Spotify, Apple Music.
Amazon.
Pandora Radio.
97.7 at 106.1 EXT. 518 Sessions with local 518 singer-songwriter Frank Palangi, Bo Hyde here in the studio, and a great song, Virginia, from the brand new EP called Bring On the Fear that is coming out in 2020. Now, each song, each EP, Frank, tell me, how do you prepare yourself to kind of one-upping yourself from your previous outings?
Yeah. I think that I'm just constantly writing and constantly improving with it. Really kind of goes into some of the production stuff too. I write a song on the acoustic and then I'll write lyrics and stuff, and that's how it starts. But it's really, where do I want to take this as a production element? Every EP has been different, the process. Like the first one we did live. It was old school. We were all in rooms and we're just recording everything live and the vocals later. The second one, nobody knew each other at all. We just did bits and pieces and we put it together. And then the third one was my first self-produced one. And that was the one where I was like, okay, I have to do all the instruments except for drums. I got to put this thing together. I have to figure out what's the sound for it and stuff. I had somebody else do that before. So it's what kind of gear, how do all the miking stuff, everything. The science, the sound science stuff. I love it. And so I think through not Break These Chains, but Set Me Free, that really gave me the boost up to be like, I can do this.
Is it true that some of the best stuff comes quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the songs. I have a song I worked on for a year, and they aren't the best. I end up scrapping them. Just if you have to really work on it, it's not meant to be.
Frank Palangi, our guest, with Bo Hyde, and Bo's got a brand new EP as well. You could check out this session. It's going to be up on demand at wextradio.org. FrankPalangi.com is the website. He's also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere in the world today where you can find music. Brand new EP is in the works, as I mentioned, as well as a new video. What do you want to wrap us up with today?
Let's go with Break These Chains.
This is another older one, right?
Fan favorite. That's why I do it all the time.
Tell us about this one here.
A couple years old. It's third EP. It's the one that Brian produced. We went down to Virginia. I got to work in his studio. And it was, I made this up on Thanksgiving. And it was about an hour before we had to go out to eat the one year that we went out to eat. And I pick up the guitar and I'm just going to play something. And all of a sudden, just everything came to me up to the chorus, but the end of the chorus and some of the words and stuff. And it was just a little different than what I did before. My parents came downstairs. We're about to leave. And I go, listen to this. Listen to this. So I played it and they go, yeah, that's, you should keep working on it. That's different. That's a different one. So that was the song. I think if I'm going to work with somebody like Brian, it's going to be this song.
Frank Palangi and Bo Hyde. Break These Chains on 97.7 and 106.1 WEXT.